Thank you, Acting Deputy President. Well, earlier today, the Australian public and the Australian Parliament heard frankly alarming news about the hostile acts of a foreign power directed against Australia and Australian national interests. In comments by the Director-General of Security, Mike Burgess, he made clear that ASIO's formal assessment is that the Iranian government directed at least 2, and quite possibly more, quite likely more, attacks on Jewish interests in Australia. This has included the attack on the Continental Kitchen in part of Sydney that I know very well, in Bondi, and also the Adass Synagogue in Melbourne. I cannot overstate the severity and the gravity of what has been unfolding here in Australia over these last several months, and I cannot overstate the severity and gravity of a foreign nation acting like this on Australian soil. We have all been alarmed in Australia about the deterioration in social cohesion and social harmony. We have all been alarmed in Australia about the rise in anti-Semitism. We have all been alarmed in Australia about the increasing hostility turning into property damage and firebombing directed against a particular group of Australians. To now learn that a foreign power was orchestrating those, directing those, supporting those, and doing all it could to fan the flames of social discord in Australia is a shocking discovery indeed. I wanted to commend the work of our security officials, ASIO and others, for their painstaking investigation to uncover this, and I do want to commend the government for the firm steps they have taken, at least in the response to this initially. It is right and proper that the Iranian ambassador be expelled from Australia, declared persona non grata and sent packing and sent home. It is right and proper that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, an arm of the Iranian regime and state, is added to our sanctions list and designated, and it is only prudent that Australian officials stationed in Tehran at our embassy in Tehran are evacuated for their own safety. But let's be very clear about the sort of government we are dealing with here, a regime more properly in Iran. Not only do they repress their own citizens at home, not only do they persecute minorities and women, not only do they execute gay people, not only do they hound civil society to the point of extinction. This is also a regime in a country that has done a huge amount to destabilise the world, that has been responsible for exporting terror across its region, and now we find as far away as Australia. This is a country, a regime, an ideology that nurtured, created, funded and supported Hezbollah, the terrorist organisation that has basically rendered Lebanon in a state of state failure, state chaos for the past 2 decades. This is the same country that funded, supported, armed and trained the Houthis in Yemen, again having rendered now Yemen an ungovernable state, threatening commercial shipping all across the Red Sea. It is the same group, the same country rather, that funded, supported and egged on Hamas, including for Hamas's terrorist attacks on the 7th of October 2023, which have done such awful damage to the Middle East, which have unleashed unbelievable chaos and unbelievable suffering, including on the Palestinian people of Gaza. Iran's hands have been in all of this. And now we learn that Iran's tentacles have spread even as far as Australia. We have maintained diplomatic relations with Iran for several decades. No, we have not agreed on any number of things, but I thought we were at least bound to respect the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations and other underpinnings of formal relations. To learn that Iran has perpetrated hostile acts on Australian soil directed against the Australian people, directed against the Australian community, is shocking indeed. Now, I would say that I commend the government for the strong steps it has taken, but I think more needs to be done. I do believe the government should be orchestrating an international campaign of condemnation and making sure that the rest of the world knows that the Iranian regime is doing this, because if they're doing it in Australia, you can bet they are trying to do it, or perhaps are already doing it in places like Canada, in places like the United States, in countries like New Zealand, in countries like the United Kingdom, all across Western Europe, and Australia needs to make sure that this terrible regime is held to account for their aggression against our nation.
Senator Roberts.